Hello everyone, welcome to a new video. It is currently a couple of days after Christmas. I don't suppose this will go out until just the beginning of the new year, but it's the perfect time to be getting our bullet journals ready. I don't know if you bullet journal or just have a notebook or however you get organised, but I am very much a pen girl. I'm not very good at digital organising. So last year was my first year I did a bullet journal, and I shared on my channel both my blogging and business bullet journal and also my personal bullet journal. So about the noise of the dog. So I thought I would give you a little flick through of both of these to show you how I got on this year or last year in 2019, and I also thought I'd show you through my first bullet journal for 2020. And I say first because I'm going for a 6-month one this time, so I thought I'd show you what I've changed, things that I've done differently in 2020. Yeah, this is the first year in the 2000s. I'm trying to get on board with calling it 20 something rather than 2000 and something. So last year was 2019, this year is 2020. So yeah, I hope you enjoy the video. So this was my personal bullet journal. It wasn't really a bullet journal, it's just a notebook with lines, but I just used it like a bullet journal. I won't take you through everything because I did that in my video where I showed it to you, so I'll put that link below if you are interested. But as you can see, some of it I just haven't ticked off things that I've done or learned, and I didn't really keep it up. I started to keep up with daily stuff that I did every month, but I completely gave it up at the end of June. One of the things I did instead was I've taken my thankfulness log that I did every day and I've moved that to my personal diary. I just keep a thankfulness list in there now at the end of every day, and I kept running out of space as well. I started off with 1 line, then I did 2 lines, then I did 3 lines, so now it's just in my diary. I'm not confined by space. And another thing I added was a pat on the back list as well. So that was just because one of the things on my things to work on in 2019 was like my personal belief, self-esteem, that sort of thing. And so I thought I'd do a list every day of things that I've achieved, accomplished, just done. You know, even if it's something as simple as, well, I hoovered even though I was really low in energy that day, or something like that. So, and I would say that's helped, but I've moved that to my ordinary journal / diary, whatever you call it nowadays. So what I will carry on using this for in 2020 is just general planning for things. So as you can see here, this was when we went to Lidford and we had a photo shoot planned, so that was a list of all my outfit. And then this was planning our little holiday we had in Gloucestershire. So again, I've got outfits, I've got possible places to visit. And I think the reason why I'll keep these in a actual dated book for a year rather than just some random notebook is so that I know where to go to refer back to things. So for example, I've got here a list of pub restaurants that are dog friendly, a list of dog friendly places to go to in the Cotswolds. That sort of thing would be really useful for if we go there again, you know, so I won't have to do all that research again. Like if in a couple of years I think, well, I did that research back in 2019, I'll dig out that notebook. Here's places, I think these are possible parking places in Cornwall. That's going to be useful to refer back to in the future. More photo shoot planning, lists of things to do. Anyway, so you get the idea. I will continue to use this book for that, but I'll only really do all the proper bullet journal planning stuff in my blog and business bullet journal. I just found that I wasn't really getting much out of this. So yeah, I won't really do a personal bullet journal for 2020. Sorry about any strange background noises. Chris is playing his Christmas computer game in the living room. So this is my work bullet journal. This is a proper bullet journal. We've got the proper dots and everything. And it's not personal, so I don't mind showing you what's in here. So let's do a very quick flick through. There's my key, and as you can see, I started off with all fancy drawings and stuff, which I didn't continue. I don't know if you watched my bullet journal videos that I did at the beginning of 2019, but my plan was to practice doodling and to fill my bullet journals with proper doodling, but as you can see, that quickly, well, that didn't last longer than January, really. Anyway, okay. Review of 2018, achievements and successes, time well spent, money well spent, what didn't work out. What I might do is actually show you how I've changed it for this year. So this is the 2020 journal. This time I bought it from the Little Journal Company, and I compared the GSM of the paper because I wanted to make sure it was good thick quality paper, but it is not as thick and as good quality as my, this is Limoni, I think that's how you say it. I was very impressed with this journal. I would definitely go back to this, but I wanted a different colour and there weren't any other colours that appealed to me this year, so that's why I went with this one. But you can see, sorry about the dog making noises in the background by the way. So here's my pen test page in that one. Here's my pen test page in this one. They actually have one for you. Oh, annoyingly I've written on the back of here. But you can see none of it apart from one type of pen went through at all. And this one, again, none of it apart from the same type of pen went through. But you can see it so clearly, and look, you can see what I've written through the pages really clearly. I mean, you can even see the writing on the previous page. So I have to say I am not impressed with the quality, the thickness of these pages. And it puts you off when you can see what's on the next page, don't you think? So I won't be buying this journal again, I'll try a different one. And the other thing I changed, I've decided to make this a 6-month journal because I ran out of room in this one. Right at the end I was squashing up my normal layout, monthly layout to fit. And so I decided, right, instead of squashing everything up, and sometimes my writing is not very well spaced, so I thought I'd just give myself more room, make it easier to read. So yeah, I'll compare what I did last year and how I've changed it this year. So I've kept the review. I think actually in hindsight I would have given myself a bit more room because I do like a good review and to really think things over. But achievements and successes, good choices and ideas. I've changed money well spent because I don't, yeah, like I said there, don't think I spent any, don't think I spent any. By the way, I should say that blue is for I use for my blog, YouTube and writing work, and the purple is for my Threads for Fairytale clothing business. And sometimes they overlap, so I do like to see them on the same page, or at least in the same book. So I've kept achievements and successes, and instead of time well spent, because I think that could also go under successes really, I changed it to good choices and ideas, because I think that's something that you can take forward with you a bit better. And then I just had a small section here for what didn't work out. Well, I've given it a whole page, so I said what didn't work out and why, in case there were any particular reasons why not really. Also, if you noticed, I've swapped around. Up here I've got blog things first and Threads of a Fairytale things second, whereas I've changed that around because my priority is Threads of a Fairytale, and I thought mentally and physically that should come first, so I'm always thinking of that first. The blog is really just a hobby, and YouTube, it doesn't earn me any money, whereas my clothing business does, so that has to be my priority. So that's what I changed there. Looking ahead, I decided to leave out this whole page because what I was finding was I was just repeating myself under goals for the year ahead. So my next page is 2020. I've written word of the year. So last year's my word of the year is nurture. I haven't 100% decided on this year's yet. I think it's going to be the word change because I'm gonna do things differently this year, or differently, something along those lines, but because I haven't nailed that down yet, I didn't want to write it in here. And I've added personal goals because I've got rid of my other journal, my personal bullet journal. I wanted, so I'm more official, to write them down. So I'm going to put a list of personal goals for the year here. I think also my life overlaps quite a lot between personal stuff and work stuff because I blog and video my personal life, and so there is an overlap, so I thought I may as well overlap them in this book as well. So on my next page I've got my goals for 2020. This side is going to be Threads of Fairytale, this side is going to be the blog, YouTube, writing. In last year's I had what's going on, and I had a layout for the whole year, and the idea was to write the main events happening through the year. As you can see, I just didn't use it. I just didn't bother filling it in, so I thought there's no point in repeating that. And then we've got on to marketing strategies for the year ahead. That's going to be coming up later. Here's my big goals for last year. Dreaming big, so that was sort of my ideas for future possibilities. I decided to take that out, and instead I've got my why, and I don't know if you've come across people talking about what is your why. I just thought I would write a reminder as to why I have chosen to be self-employed and do things a bit differently, just so that I can refer to this when I'm struggling, having a bad day or whatever. That, yeah, that's why I've chosen to work this way and live my life how I am. Let me pull this down a bit. So we've got daily tasks in last year's and daily tasks in this year's. I think this is going to be the same. Yeah, weekly tasks, monthly tasks, that's the same. Yeah, and then the next 2 pages are the same. We've got my growth tracker. I've just swapped them round. So we've got sessions, users, page views of my blog, Instagram followers, Facebook followers, Pinterest overall, Pinterest blog, Twitter, YouTube, email subscribers, and sales from my by Helen Hobden Etsy shop. And then for my business, I've got Etsy views, Etsy visits, sales, Instagram followers, Facebook followers, Pinterest followers, email subscribers, and then I started tracking the statistics from the website as well. So I've got sessions, users, page views, and I thought I'd start a bounce rate as well, because while it's new, I kind of want to keep track of that. I don't need to keep track of that on the blog because it sticks at about 1%. I've got a really good bounce rate on my blog, so I don't really need to track it. Then in my old one I've got joining in, and I was keeping a track of Twitter chats, Facebook link ups, Instagram hashtag. It was my goal the entire year to fill this up. I never got round to it, so I was going to lose it and not bother, but in the end I thought actually it would be really useful to have a reminder, because currently I'm a member of the Janet Murray Facebook group, and every Monday she has an office hour, and I thought that would be a good reminder to keep up with that. Blog link ups, again, as you can see, I didn't ever get around to filling this in, but I really want to do that, so I've done it again and we'll see how we go. Okay, and then this is where I have allowed much more space. On my old one last year, I added in a bit later, planning the year. And this was meant to be about marketing, early marketing ideas for the whole year. So for February I've got promote old Valentine's blogs, and then in May I've got film a Glastonbury series ready to go out in June, and then other things as well. The space was far too small, far too small. And then we get onto the monthly stuff. So this is where it changes quite a lot. I've actually got a whole double spread for every quarter here. So for January to March, and on this side I'll do threads, and on that side I'll do the blog. Or I might actually mix them up. Or I also started making a note of relevant awareness days. I need to copy that in, and whether that will be relevant for making any content that particular time. So this will be early notes, early things to remember for that quarter. And then I've left a spare double spread in case I think of anything else I want to add. So that's that. Now we get on to January. So last year in January, my intention was to fill this blank page with events and happenings and do fancy borders and fancy frames, and that never happened. So instead of that, this year I've got a what's going on page, which I've sort of taken out of my personal bullet journal actually. So here I'm going to record things that are going to be happening in January, like birthdays to remember, events, days out that are already planned, so that I keep that in mind when I'm also planning what's going on with work. So last year I had tasks and to-do lists on my next page. I've just changed it to things to do. And this time I've given myself a double page spread, one for threads of a fairy tale and one for the blog, instead of just one side for each one. And then this is new, I've added a content planner for the month. So this will be where I plan blog posts and YouTube videos. And I've also added a social media planner. So that's mainly remembering to do posts that will relate to the content. So I'll need to remember on the same day that I publish a blog post to make a mention of it on my Facebook, on my Instagram, and maybe have ideas for questions that relate to that, or quizzes, or if I've got any other photographs to put on Instagram that are particularly relevant to that time, I can make a note of it here. I'm going to try and get more organised about that this year. And then here I've got the weekly focus. Now this is something I added later in the year in my old one. This is from May, which obviously didn't fill out very much. I added a weekly focus just to get my mind, so I knew what were my priorities that month. As you can see here, I also had added a finance tracker later in the year, which as you can see is completely empty. So in the end, I dropped the finance tracker completely. So I changed it to having a weekly focus on one page and a weekly review on the other. In the new one this year, I've made it a double page spread for the weekly focus, and I've put the weekly review a bit later, and that's also a double page spread. In between, I have my activity log, which I had every month last year, and my daily task tracker on this side, and that's quite useful for recording how well things have gone and why. So next, in last year's book, I went on to just doing a monthly review. So I've got my weekly review first, as I mentioned, and then my monthly review, which I have broken down a bit differently. So I've got achievements and successes, which is the same as last year's, but I've also added how to continue that. And here I've just got difficulties and setbacks, which I've kept, but then I've added a column on how to change that and what I can do differently, basically. Oh yeah, and so I've got two spreads for that, one for the blog, one for business. And so here I've got a double page spread of moving forward, but I have added, did January get me closer to my 2020 goals? And that is basically the ultimate thing that I need to make sure is happening every month, that I don't get bogged down in just delivering out all the content, all the blog posts and videos and Instagrams, but if it's not actually getting me anywhere, then I think that's going to help me keep on track to what is actually important moving forward. So that's sort of what I've done differently here. I'm going to allow space for a quarterly appraisal and a 6-month appraisal as well. Again, just to make sure I'm keeping on top of what it is I'm actually trying to achieve this year. Yeah, just keeping on top of everything, basically. So that's that. I have one spare page in case I think of anything else I want to add, and then this will be February. So that's that. I'm sorry, I think this has ended up being a really long video. I feel like I've been talking for hours. I hope it wasn't too boring. I hope it's sort of inspiring you or giving you ideas if you're thinking about getting organised this year. I'm really going to try and get ahead of things a bit better. I mean, just for example, just now I had in my mind so many ideas for blog posts and videos for the run up to Christmas, gift ideas and that sort of thing, and I never did any of it. So this year I'm determined to properly get ahead, get planning and make notes when I've got to do things well in advance so they get edited and posted and written and or filmed or whatever in time. Let me know in the comments if you bullet journal or how you keep organised, and let me know also if you do a bullet journal, whether you do all the fancy pictures and doodles and that sort of thing. I think I mentioned in last year's videos, which by the way I will put a link below if you want to go back and look at those, that I really wanted to do that in 2019, but I just never had the time. I had the best intentions, but I never had the time, so in the end it was just words. But I love watching those YouTube videos that people do showing their different themes for each month. So let me know if you do that, because I'd love to hear about it. And I think that's all from me for now. If you enjoyed watching or you think this will be useful, please share with your friends. Give this video a thumbs up and do subscribe if you're new here. I'd love to see you again for more videos in 2020. Thank you for watching. Bye.